Hello friends, welcome to part 9 of Blazor server shopping cart. In our previous video, we have seen how we have created this entire structure of my cart and this entire total and all this stuff. Now in our this video, we are going to see how we can create the register page, register a user, and then we'll go to our next part, which is login. So let's go in our code. Here we have the register.razor page. So let's import the required namespaces. So we can copy the namespace from here itself and paste it here. Okay, let's remove this register, and before creating the design and all, we'll have to create one data model in our custom models folder, and let's name it as register model. We already have this login model, so similar to this we'll have this register model. So let's add a new class. Let's name it as register model.cs. Click on add. Let's make this class public. So inside this register model, I have copied all the things which are required, like name, email ID, password, confirm password, and mobile number. Let's add the data annotations namespace. So it's added here, and this looks fine now. So in our register.razor, we'll have to create the class which is required for holding this register model. So here I have used this register model class, and also we'll have to use the notify event callback method. So let's put it before this, and we'll have to initialize this in our on initialize method. Okay, so here I have initialized the register model, and let's take a alert message string to show the display the message if there is any invalidation error. So here I have declared a string and named it as alert message. Looks fine. Now let's create the on rendered on after render. So once this register.razor page is rendered successfully, we have to execute few pieces of code. So let's add that. So here if you see, I've added this on after render method. So once this component is loaded properly, so it will first this piece of code will execute for the first time on first render. So first we are checking whether logging session, if the user is logged in or not. Okay, so that we are deciding based on simple thing, based on the session values. If the user is logged in, okay, then if it is true, then we are simply navigating it to the slash index page. That means user cannot open this register page. Okay, that means he is already logged in, so no need for the user to land on this register page. So we are simply redirecting the user to the index page, and this is one session for checkout alert. If user is in the checkout process, for example, there is a like user has not added anything in the shopping cart and he has not done anything, and he has not visited the checkout page, the my cart page. So if user navigates to register page from my cart page, that means he was there in the checkout process and he has came here as a part of first time registration. So in that case we will be showing some message. Okay, so that message and value we are storing in this checkout alert variable. Okay, so if you see is user logged in, we have created one method in the user panel service. So let's create this method. So let's go in our services and user panel service. So here we'll be creating one method to check whether user is logged in or not. Okay, so it's a pretty simple method. It will return a boolean value if the session user key is available. If the session is there, then the flag will be true. If the session is not there, that means user is not logged in. So based on this, let's import the required namespace. Okay, so here we are going to import this one, and we'll have to declare that also. Okay, so now this looks fine. let's go on the, let's add that in our interface as well. So now on the register page, this looks fine. Okay. Now here we have to create the design for the login registration page. So before designing it, let's create the style sheet. Okay. So here I've used this style. It's a box. So for login box, I've added the font family, the margin, text alignment, and margin. Okay. Then inside that, if we have a paragraph, then I've added the text decoration and applied some font size and color. For h1 tag, I have added the font size and color. For box, background, radius, and all these things I've added. Then if the type is email, then I've added this entire set of CSS. If the type is password, then this is another set of CSS. If the type is a button, then I have added this margin top and all this styling. And if the on hover of the button, we are just changing the background color to something else. And if it's a button 2, then we have this, and hover of button 2, we are changing the background color. So it's a pretty simple CSS, nothing complex. Use styling and all this font size and all. Now let's add the required design. Okay. So here if you see, we have created this div of minimum height 400 pixel, and inside that we have this login box, and inside the login box we have a box, and then the div is a simple few line breaks, and then we have added the message. Okay. And here if you see, inside the h1 tag I have the register. Then it's a simple edit form. We have used this edit form many times in our admin panel as well. So simple form. Then we have adding the name, email ID, mobile number, and password. Here I have two buttons. One is register, and if user is new, and if user is already registered, then he can navigate to the login page. And I have added the values, bind values as register, mobile, model.mobile number, email ID, name, and password. So whatever user types in this text boxes, that will simply get binded to the model, which is nothing but the register model. And on register click, on all these form validations are successful, we have to create this method register click. So let's create that method right away. So here I have created this register click method. So this register click method is nothing but simply passing the entire model to the register user. Okay. And if the response, we are checking the response, and if the response is true, that means everything is proper. Then from the message we are getting this detail like user key, username, email ID, and then notifying the admin panel and navigating the user to the index page. That means user has been successfully registered, and simply no need to log in again. Simply we are just logging the user automatically from this lines of code itself. That means he is successfully logged in. So let's create the method register user in our user panel service. So here I have the register user, and simply passing the register model to this API. It's a post method, and the output will be a response model. Let's copy the definition and put it here. The next part is we simply have to do the same thing as we did for our other methods and add a respective method in our controller. So here I have added this. Let's use the namespace. Okay, so in our user controller we have created this post method, and this is internally calling the user service of our logic, the final layer. So here I'm going in this user service and creating a new method for registration. Okay, so here I have created this method. The return type is response model, so I have created a new model. Then inside this I have a try catch, and then we have to create this db context. and we have to create this customer table. So here, if you see, we need a customer table with name, mobile number, email ID, password, and we have to simply add it and save the changes and then return the login model. Okay, why we have to return the login model? Because we have to authenticate and log in the user. Else, we are just simply returning status as false and email already registered. So for time being, let's comment off this part and create the customer table. Okay, let me build it and let's add this in our iService as well. So let me open SQL Server. Let's create a new query. So here we have this simple script of creation table. Let's make it that primary key and let's execute it. So this table has been created with the name, email, mobile number, password, last login created on and updated on. So if we see in our table section, we have this customer table, okay, with the primary key and the rest of the columns. So we'll have to update our schema now. Let's open this package manager console and set the data model as the default project. So let's execute this command, scaffold db context, pointing to our server, database is shopping cart, trusted connection true, and using this let's enter. So build has succeeded, and let's comment of these lines of code. Let's comment this as well. Now let's close all the tabs. Let's go again in our user service, and here let's uncomment the code. Okay, now the db context is referring to our customers table, and whatever register model we are receiving, from that register model, based on the email ID, we are searching whether the customer already exists or not. If the customer exists, then in the else part we are sending the response as false and the message as email already registered. And if the customer does not exist, then we are creating a new customer, adding it our db context and saving the changes. So once this is done, we don't want the user to navigate to login screen and login again. So we are simply creating a login model and we have created a method here for login user. So let's create this method. So this is a method login user, and in login user the output is same response model and it is receiving an input as login model. Okay, so here from the customer table, for that email ID we are checking first whether that email ID exists or not. If the email ID does not exist, then we are sending email not registered, please check your email ID. Then if the email ID is there, then we are checking the password. Okay, the email authentication is done in this line of code, then we are checking the password. If the password what user has entered is matching with the data we have in our database, if that is true, then we are returning the response as true, and then we are sending the message as user ID separated by pipe name separated by a pipe email, all these three as a pipe separated. Else we are sending the response your password is incorrect. That means email ID is there but password is incorrect. So this method is there. So this login user is indirectly, once the user is registered, then we are creating this model here and calling this method internally. That means if the user is registered successfully, then automatically the login session will also start on the UI. No need to log in again. So this we have done. Let's put this method as well in our interface. So this looks fine. Let's build our entire solution. So build has succeeded. Now let's start the project. Okay, so we have this register page. Let's click on the register page. Okay, so we have got this error. User key is not there. Okay, let me go there. Let me open the register page, and here we have the login box, the alert message. Let's stop the debugging. So let's put a breakpoint over here and see why it is failing. Let's click on register. So from here this method is getting called. Let's click on continue. Let's see the session. Okay, the session storage, this variable itself is null. I think we have not injected in this constructor and initialize it. So let's do that. Let's close all the tabs. Okay, so I have the session storage. This I'll be assigning it to this dot session storage equal to underscore session storage. So this time it should work. Let's remove this. Let's click on start. Let's click on register. Okay, so the register page is loaded properly. I can click on register and all the validations are fired. If I click on login, then it simply navigates to the login page which we haven't created as yet. So here I have this login, and let's add the breakpoint here in our controller, in user controller. We have this register, and let's go in the implementation and put a breakpoint here as well. Let's put a name. And put a password as John@1234. Click on register. Don't save. Let's okay. So the API has been hit, and let's see the register model. Okay, so the email ID, mobile number, name, and password has been clearly transformed from there till here. Let's press F11 and see. So exist check. So it is false. That means the user is new. Let's assign it, save the changes. Okay, we have a, while updating the entries, see the inner exception, we have exception here. Okay, so the password, I think the size is getting truncated. We have given the password as 6, but what we have entered is more than 6 character. So let's continue again. So here if you see what we've added in our catch block is like, whenever there's an error, the status will be false and the message will be an error has occurred, please try again. So the same thing has been replicated here. If we go in our register.razor, so here if you see in the else part, in the response.status is false, okay, because there is an error. So it will go in the else part and display the message in this alert message. And if we see the design, in this second div we have displayed the alert message, so it is showing clearly. Now let's change the password and make it smaller. 1 2 3 4 5. Click on register again, click on continue. This time let's do F10. Okay, so this time it has saved the changes. Let's go in our DB and check. Customer. Okay, so we have that registered user here, and now that same user is being authenticated again. So let's press F10. Let's go inside. User data not null, password is correct, response is, so we are getting the response as this to John and the email ID. So here it's proper. Let's go and continue. And here if you see, now the user has registered properly, but still the header menu has not changed. Here the name should come like home, welcome, the name of the user, and this login register should get changed. If you see our main.layout page, in our main.layout page we have added this header. Okay, so here if user is logged in, so okay, so we'll have to add this code, is user logged in. So we have commented this piece of code in our previous session. So let's stop the debugging session and uncomment it. Okay, let's stop it. So here if you see, it's a simple thing, layout 0 and is user logged in. This layout 0 is like in case like we don't want this check to happen again and again, even if there's a change in the cart count. So layout state is 0, that means user has logged in properly. So this piece of code is getting, because this notify event layout is this event gets called many times whenever there's a update in the cart or any other thing. Then in that case, so I want this piece of code to get execute only when there's a user has successfully logged in. So in that case I'm using this layout state equal to 0. That means user has not logged in, and after login I'm just making it as 1, incrementing it, so it will not go inside it again and again. Okay, so I'm getting this username and assigning it to this user norm logged in. Then I'm changing this checkout, this alert, we'll explain later at the part of this piece of code is already for the checkout alert, and then I'm changing the state has changed. Okay, now let's rerun it again. Let's register a new user, James. Two, three, four, five. Click on register. Let's delete all breakpoints. Click on continue. Okay, so now you can see when the user got logged in or registered successfully, simply it is showing home, welcome James, my account, and log out. This time the login and register page has been removed from this top header. Okay, so I can go here and still I can see that it is going. So I can click on my account and it will go navigate me to my account. Okay, so user is already logged in, so no need. So on this logout method, we'll simply clear out all the sessions. Okay, so let's do that. Let's stop the debugging, and this main.layout we have this empty logout. So let's put a code to clear all the sessions. So here whenever the user is getting registered for the first time, we are having this session being set, like user key, username, email ID, and all these things. So all these sessions I'm clearing it out, and let's make it as void and async. Okay, and I'm notifying the layout. So again here I'm setting the layout as -1. Okay, so here it will go in this method, again check for the user is logged in. If the user is not logged in and the layout is equal to 0, okay, then it will go here and state has changed. Then again it will just reassign it. Okay, and Okay, let me run it again. Let's register a new user. Go register and see it has directly come to home. Welcome mama, my account. Okay, now let's click on login. Let's click on logout, and you can see the login and register button has again appeared over here, and the name has been changed just to welcome. Okay, so we have done the entire registration process here. Now in the next video we are going to see the login screen and the login part, and after that we are going to see the entire checkout process. So see you in the next video.